Are you ready, kids?
Aye, Captain!
Oh!
You have to know how to win together and lose together.
Oh, we have a shot here. CIF San Diego champs, CIF state champs, top 3 in the nation. Look like the little valley. We freaking did it this year. CIF San Diego champs, CIF state champs, you top 3 in the nation. You beat out a 7-time winning team. Like, there's nothing more we could have wanted for you guys.
Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and other distinguished members of the audience. You're listening to VibeZ, a radio show produced entirely by Spartan Sound Productions, Central Union High's very own production studio. I'm Daniel Montoya, and we have a very special episode for y'all this week, in that it is all talk, no music. Before we get to it, I'd like to mention that VibeZ is now open to other schools' ideas for episodes. Inquiries should go to imperialvalleyvibes@gmail.com, with more details to come towards the end. Now, without further ado, let's drop into the conversation.
Is Coach Gabby Robb, and I have been coaching for almost 10 years now. This is my fifth year at Centro. I cheered from the time that I was young. I think I started maybe about 4 or 5 years old up until high school. Yeah, that's it about me.
My name is Soraya. I'm a senior in high school right now, and I've been cheering for about 7-8 years. And I started off in All-Star, and I joined varsity Centro cheer my freshman year all the way to my senior year.
Jimena, I'm a junior. This is my 3rd year doing cheer. I am a flyer. I just started flying my freshman year, and I've been doing it till my junior year.
My name is Alyssa, and I'm a junior in high school. This is my 10th year doing cheer. I started off with Pop Warner, and then I transitioned into like an all-star gym for all of my like middle school and like junior high years. And then I joined varsity as a freshman, and I'm currently on my 3rd year.
I'm Natalie. I'm a senior at Central. I'm a side base, and I've been a side base, I want to say, this is my 7th year doing it.
My name is Jasmine. I'm a junior in high school. I've been doing cheer for 3 years, and I'm a flyer.
All right. So let's talk about tryouts and what I guess our tryout process entails. How did you guys feel about the tryout process, and what type of advice would you give somebody new coming in?
Well, I think as you continue on with your years, tryouts kind of get less nerve-wracking. I think this year, for my senior year, I wasn't as nervous, only because it was more of like a bittersweet feeling for me, where it's like, that's my last tryout. Like, I've been trying out for 4 years, and like, this is my last one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, for me, before, it was definitely nerve-wracking. I think learning this stuff is a little nerve-wracking, having the coaches watch you, and then everybody's looking around, and we're all like trying not to mess up. But I actually think tryouts is really fun. I have fun with it, and I think I've met a lot of different people.
I think too, like the more you do it, the less scary it is. I think like that first year is like the scariest, because you don't know what to expect. And then, you know, you come back and you're like, oh, okay, we know that this is coming up. We know that coaches aren't gonna, because something for us, like for the coaches, we try not to put too much attention, especially on returners. Like we're not trying to be your friend out there, you know? Like everyone starts on an even playing field. But yeah.
It's a fun experience overall, but I personally, like, as trials approach, I feel a little bit intimidated because I'm always scared that there might be someone better than you, and there always will be someone better than you, but I'm always scared that someone might show up and be like, oh snap, they might take my spot. Like, I gotta check in and do my best, because like Coach said, trials always start at an even page for everybody. You start at square one.
I think like for tryouts, like you have to like practice and keep practicing until you like get it right and you feel confident, because then like when tryouts like do eventually like happen, after practicing so many times, like you just like your body just does it by itself.
It's muscle memory.
It's like muscle memory.
We can move on. Okay, so this year was different because we actually pulled in a choreographer this year, which we hadn't done before. I actually have never done this other than bringing Juan in, or Coach Juan. But we pulled in Roy as our choreographer this year. And he came and worked with us in July. How did you guys feel having someone else come in and it not being Coach Juan or myself teaching you guys that stuff?
I feel like it was kind of like a reality check of like, this year we all need to be just checked in and focused on like, we want to win, you know? And like having Roy, because another person come in, like it just made comp more important to us, I think.
I feel like that set like the kind of the president of the year and our goals, because it wasn't just not that our previous years were like homemade routines, but I feel like they felt more homemade because it was coming from Juan, you know, and he's family, he's part of the team. And I feel like pulling someone else in kind of showed like, oh no, we want to pull in people from the outside to come and challenge you guys. And I feel like that
it brought like other perspectives.
Yeah.
Like it definitely taught us a lot of things, and it definitely made the routine, you know, better.
And like I feel like since like no one like knew Roy and like he didn't know us, like I feel like it was just like someone who like didn't know anything about the team. He like really put us into like a different view, because then like with Juan, like he knows most of the team, so then like it's just different because like Roy knew no one, so like we started off like with a clean plate.
Yeah, I wasn't in the competition team at the time where Roy did the choreography, but for the competitions, when he would show up, that was really when I like first met him. And I just think it's different in a way because every coach is different in so many ways. Like they all have their different skills, they all have their different ways of teaching or coaching or like what they correct, you know? And I think it's kind of nice to have like a quick refresher of, you know, we're already used to Juan and we're already used to Coach Gabby, and we already know what they expect, but now we're hearing it from someone else, and then we're hearing their different points of it. So I liked having a different set of eyes.
Okay, so let's talk about regionals. So this was USA regionals, and this was our first competition, and it was our first chance to put the routine on a mat and to be seen in front of judges, and really our foundation of what we would do with the routine moving forward for the future competitions and making adjustments. Because I feel like every competition we took those judges' notes and we made adjustments as needed, but this was our first chance to really get it out on the mat. How did you guys feel going into that regionals, and how did you feel like while we were there?
For USA Regionals, I was very nervous because it was as Coach Gabby said, it was our first time performing as a team in front of a audience, and this comp team has a lot of lowerclassmen, and it was a lot of their first time performing, so I was just overall nervous on how it was gonna go. But as we were performing, when you get on that mat, you just, that little tingly feeling in your stomach kicks in, and you just know what to do because we had been practicing so much. Our body, like the muscle memory, just took over. And when we got off that mat, we were just like, oh snap, we did that. Like, our team has this. Like, our team knows what to do.
Yeah.
But overall, I was very nervous for that first competition.
I remember that competition. We had to wake up, be here at school like 3 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, that was such an early day.
Our JV comp team also competed at the same competition. And just like being at school at 3 in the morning and like leaving, it was already such a weird and like, I would say cool experience. And then just competing and getting it out there, like just getting all your like nervous feelings for the first time and competing like in the mat, like it was a good feeling, I think.
I think that was the first time for most of the team.
Yeah.
Like the first competition ever for most of the team. Because really there's only a handful of returners from previous years who got to experience some type of competition.
Yeah.
I thought it was also really cool that we took our JV. I think that made a difference too.
Yeah, because they cheered us on and
Yeah.
you could see them.
Yeah.
The support was at a different level.
Yeah,
Way
that
higher
competition,
level.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so that was USA Regionals, and then after that we had CIF San Diego. So that one we went into, I mean, this was a new division all year, you know, but we didn't really know what to expect going into this one, I think. And we did as much stalking as we could. Like trying to see the other teams. The only one, I mean, we knew for sure we were competing against Imperial, and that was going to be a tough one because, you know, that's like hometown. And they were coming back as the reigning champs from the previous. And I remember watching the routine last year and being like, oh man, like they were really good last year. And I remember being so excited to watch them, and so that was intimidating from like a coach's standpoint. I mean, we never told you guys, but from like we were like, oh, they're strong. Like they have a strong team and a strong presence. I think that was the thing, was that they had a strong presence on the mat. But how did you guys feel about CIF San Diego?
Well, going back with Imperial, I think the dynamic was so different for CIF San Diego, because it's like normally we cheer each other on and like we will say hi to each other like when we see Brawley, you know, and it's cute and it's fun. But normally we're best friends with Imperial, but I think that one they definitely turned on like their competition mode. And it was just like the tension was crazy.
Well, like even when warm-ups, like when you're warming up, we warmed up first, and like right next to us was Imperial.
Oh my gosh.
And like we were already warming up our sons, and like I could just feel them staring. But I feel like that kind of worked like good for our team though.
Yeah,
it,
I
like
think it kind of
motivated
encouraged
us.
to like do better.
A lot of us.
I feel like on both sides, because we had Imperial on one side and then Escondido was the other team that we knew was really strong. And we were right in the middle, both of them in warm-ups. So we got to see Escondido do their whole routine, right, on the warm-up mat, and then Imperial was right behind us watching us. And it's crazy because from like a coach's standpoint, right, when we're in warm-ups, we strategically try to place you facing away from the team that you're quote-unquote worried about. And so Juan and I, we walked in and we both looked at each other like, which way do we face them? Because we try to face you away, you know, from the team that we don't want you to focus on. Like, because obviously we want you checked in to just yourself and your mat and your team. But of course you're going to look up and you're going to see things, or you're going to feel their energy or whatever. And so we were like, we didn't even know like which way to face you guys. It was funny.
I feel like last year, I don't remember feeling like the competitiveness between all the teams.
No,
but this year, like, it was very tense. And I feel like it was like that for every competition.
This year, since Imperial, though, are like, for multiple competitions, they were there, it was like at warm-ups, like you're warming up, and as soon as you're done, you turn and you look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you're turning and making sure, like, okay, I got this, or like, oh, snap, they did this, so I have to hit this. They did that, and I have to do this. It was just, the tension was like really strong. I feel
You were
like
cooking.
since we had such a good warm up, like Coach said, like it's a superstition. Like if you have a good warm ups, most like supposedly on mat, it won't go as good. But since we had such a good warm up, we got on that mat and we were like, we got this. Like we will win this, and that's what it's all about. Like all the hours and injuries and everything that go into the practices, they all pay off for those 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and it really did pay off.
Yeah. You guys had such a strong performance at competition, and then right after was Imperial. So we kind of got to see Escondido. I made you guys turn around.
Yeah, I didn't watch
So I didn't let
we,
you guys.
We chanted, right?
You were doing your huddle, yeah. And so Juan and I were watching Escondido, and then and they had some co-ed stunts that were really good. And then right after you guys performed, we huddled up and we hugged each other. We were excited about hitting, and then immediately, instead of going all the way outside and around, I made you guys go back and sit down and cheer on Imperial, which on one hand is like different, but at the end of the day, we're both Valley teams and we both support each other. And my motto is you always cheer on, especially if it's another Valley team or, a close by team, you always cheer them on the way that you would want them to cheer you on. So you guys went out and went back and watched their routine, but how did you guys feel watching their routine? Like after coming off, you know what I mean? Because that's a totally different.
I actually didn't feel that intimidated. Like, I was so, like, happy, and I felt so good about our routine. I watched the routine, and I was like, okay, like, they did really good. And I was watching my friends, and I saw them, and they had a lot of energy, and it looked really good. But I just believed in their team so much that it didn't intimidate me as much.
Yeah.
Only thing I was scared about with Imperial was their pyramid.
Yeah.
I remember I saw their pyramid, and I don't know, I just got, like, super
They
scared.
have strong
And they
pyramids.
had that all-boy basket.
Yeah,
It was so
yeah.
gorgeous. Basket.
It was really good. I remember getting off the mat after CIF, after we competed, and I just looked at my mom, and like her eyes were so watery, and she was so proud of us. And it was just such a good feeling. And seeing everyone's reactions, I was just like, we have such a good team, and we had such a good support system.
Yeah.
It was just really good.
I don't know. So Juan and I's emotions, I feel like all of these competitions, specifically like with this team and this routine, we had ups and downs of like, and then it took forever for awards. I feel like we were waiting around forever.
Yeah, I took a nap.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just feel like we kept watching our routine over and over, right? And then watching the routine, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. Like, this routine is so good. And then we would watch it, and we would look at each other and be like, there's no way it's not us, right? And I remember saying that like 50 times from the time that you guys competed to awards. And I was like, there's no way. It's got to be us. It's got to be us. And then we would watch the other team routines, and we would be like, oh no, but it could go either way. Like it was so back and forth in our heads. And I don't know, when they called Escondido as second, even then, I feel like even then I was like, oh no, I could literally go anywhere. I don't know.
We would try to do the math in our heads.
Yeah. Yes, like you're trying to do the math, like, okay, this would have scored this and this and this. But that was wild.
It was wild.
And I think like all my years of cheering, like my teams, we've never gotten first place. Like we've always gotten so close. So it's like, I think when it was
Junior year?
No, we didn't win that year either.
No, it was close.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It every time, like we've always been so close, but I feel like for CIF, because like we hit so good, like it still didn't process in my brain that like we could win. Yeah. So like even though we were all excited, we were all happy, like it wasn't the first thing on my mind that, oh, we're gonna get first place. So when we did, like it didn't really come as a shock to me, but it was more like, dang, like that's crazy.
To this day, like it just doesn't feel real that we we were the first team to win CIF.
First cheer team.
Yeah, and then because I think my sister was the first year that they went to CIF as a competition team, and I remember I would think it was in 5th or 6th grade, and I would watch her all all her years, and they never won. Yeah. And then when it's my turn in high school, I was like, I won. After all these years since I was little, after watching them all, I was like, we were the team that won first, like,
Yeah.
ever, like, for cheer. And it was just, like,
crazy.
really, like, it was, like, heartwarming. I don't know. Because, like, after my sister doing it for so many years, and it was my turn, and then we won.
She passed the torch.
Yeah, she passed it to me.
You're listening to Valley Vibes. I'm Daniel Montoya. If you're just tuning in, we're here listening to the COHS cheer team and their experiences this championship season. They've moved on from CIF to state, and they're going to be talking about that, so stay tuned.
Okay, let's talk about state. How did we feel going into state? Can I just start with, we weren't even sure about wanting to do state. Just because CIF scoring is totally different than what Juan and I are used to, because Juan knows USA scoring and then I know UCA scoring, and CIF scoring is just like a whole other monster. Like, we don't understand, or it can literally go anywhere with scoring for CIF. So we had decided in the beginning of the year that we were like, no, we're not going to do state. And then we win, and I remember coming back to work that next day or whatever, and Mr. Wise, our athletic director, being like, okay, so what's next? State? And I was like, oh. And he was like, you have to go, you're first place. And I was like, oh, you're right. And that, I feel like, from, like, it just clicked. Like, we gotta go, we gotta do this. But I don't know. I felt like we had a good chance, but I don't know. I wasn't expecting, like, I feel like I'm still almost in shock that this happened. I wasn't really expecting state.
I think we were just focused on CIF.
Yeah.
We weren't like, oh, state? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because since the beginning, we were all like on the same page. We're just gonna go to CIF and do our best, and regardless if we make it a state or not, state is not important to us.
Yeah.
And
It's like a
then
big
it
thing.
ended up being like a big thing to us.
I think it's because in previous years, I don't know if I want to say it just didn't feel obtainable in previous years.
Definitely.
And I feel like coming out of CIF San Diego, we were like, oh wait, we're good. Like, it was almost like a shock.
I just don't think we didn't realize, like, we had a chance.
Yeah.
Not that we, like, underestimated ourselves, but it was kind of like, we didn't think we had a chance,
Like,
honestly.
state
No,
is,
yeah.
like, much bigger than CIF. Like,
Yes.
They're two completely different
Yeah,
things.
it just felt like something, like, so far. I don't know.
Yeah, especially because last year I remember we went against like
20
20
years.
teams.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like,
Last
And
year's a
I
really
just
good
remember
division.
thinking, so when they said we were going to state this year, I didn't really think we had a chance because I was just thinking about there's so many other schools out there, and like we're good, but like those are great schools too.
Yeah. They
It
like have their own
doesn't-
gyms and
we're like the little valley. What can we do?
I feel like we would go out to all these competitions scared, not knowing thinking that all these other schools are good, but I feel like we wouldn't see how good we were today.
Yeah.
I feel like we never
I
saw our
agree with
potential.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you guys went, you guys competed, and it was a great performance. And then we ran inside so that we could watch Reseda, which was the one that we were,
Most
Biggest
worried
competition.
again.
yeah,
Worried
almost
about.
like the biggest competition was Reseda. And I just remember watching them and seeing them do all of their stunts like co-ed style, like true co-ed style, where it was just like one boy underneath and just, you know. And once I saw that, I was like, oh no. And then I remember after they stopped, or after they finished their routine, all of you guys turned around and looked at me to kind of gauge my reaction to them. And I just like tried to keep this most like straight face ever. But in my head was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be them. Like, there's no way. How do we compete with that? They had co-eds the whole entire time. And I just remember going up to the bleachers to talk to Juan about it. And then he was like, I don't know, because it could go with cheer. It's different because it's all in the judge's hands. Like, yeah, there's a score sheet, and you can try to max out that score sheet, but at the end of the day, it's whatever the judges, you know, yeah, whatever they liked more. Like, maybe there was one extra person that had more energy, and so they're going to get the 5 instead of a 4.5 or a 4.8. And I don't know. It was
I remember coming off the mat and like everybody was that was the first full out that I literally could not breathe. Like, I could not breathe at all. But everybody was crying. Like, the energy was so, like, it was great. But then once we watched Resita, I think, like, all of us got so nervous, and it was just, like, the energy was gone. Like, I think we all thought we lost it.
I remember we hit, once again, in state, and at that moment in that competition, my shoulder, like, was a little messed up. So the adrenaline had kicked in, and I was perfectly fine throughout the routine. And then as soon as we stopped, my tears just came out. Like, like all the pain started, like, hitting my shoulder. And then I remember I was like, oh snap, stop crying. We gotta go watch Resita. And I ran inside. We all ran inside, and we all watched Resita. And like Coach said, like, as soon as Resita finished performing, we all just turned around and looked at Coach. And she just, like, I can see the nerves in her eyes. But she was trying to, like with her facials, trying to hide it. And then I remember later on, a couple moments later, as she was going up the bleachers to talk to Juan, I remember just seeing Juan with his hand over his eyebrows, like covering his eyes, very upset. And I was like, oh God, like, that's it, like, that's it, like, they beat us.
Well, the whole team, like, we were like sitting down, and they were like, did you see Coach? Like, she just went up. Like, what's going on? Like, what just happened?
No, and then when we found out about the legality,
that made it so much worse because we had, 3 points? I think we lost 3 points in a legality on a co-ed stunt, and that one hit hard. That one hit Juan and I really, really hard because that's something that we should have caught and fixed. And honestly, we've seen teams lose by 0.2, you know? So to know that we lost 3 points on a legality, we were like, oh no. And I remember telling you guys we should prepare for second, like at the most second place.
Yeah, I remember. And then we were at, like, in the little ring on the mats, and then they call Resita second. And all of our faces dropped. We were like, oh snap, like,
I know.
what the heck?
Like,
no.
Juan and I just huddled. He was like, no, wait. And we just, like, looked down, and he was like, stop, hold on. And we're just like, and then they have to take the team picture, so then you have to wait for Resita to go and take their picture. And we're like, hurry up.
It's a good 3 minutes, but it's the longest 3 minutes ever.
No, I remember, like, everyone pulled out their phone, and they were like, okay, let's record. And then Izzy's, one of the girls, their phone went
her
flat.
phone
Yeah,
flew.
it was.
Oh my god.
Because we got so excited when they announced that we won.
That was wild.
I feel like we went into awards, like, preparing for second. Because, we watched Resita, and we were like, oh snap, we didn't win.
Yeah.
And then, like, once they called Resita, I was like, wait. And I think I was next to Natalie, and I was like, wait. And then, like, they announced, like, us, and then, I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember captains were in the front, and we were sitting at the bottom. And once they announced Resita, I was next to Jossie. And Jossie pulls out her phone. She's like, shut up. And I was like, Jossie, did we just win? And she was like, no, don't say that. She has her video. And I remember when we got called out, we were screaming like crazy. It was
there were, like, phones everywhere on the floor. Everyone was yelling. It was crazy.
You're listening to Valley Vibes. I'm Daniel Montoya. If you're just tuning in, we're here listening to the CUHS cheer team and their experiences this championship season. They've just finished talking about their experience with the state championship and are now moving into the nationals.
Okay, so let's talk about nationals, USA nationals. This was my first year actually doing USA nationals because I've always done UCA nationals. So this was a new experience for me. How did you guys feel going into it, like coming out of state as champions and then not stopping there? I feel like we're used to just, the season ends after state, but then we kept going. How did that feel?
I was super nervous going into nationals because I know, like, on the last practice, I think I got hurt, and then Giovanni was hurt, Dominique was hurt, and there was just so many things that were, like, against us. And I remember the coaches had to keep changing formations and, like, moving my stunt group to the back and, like, add stuff so that we'd be able to do certain stunts. And, like, I just kept telling them, like, no, like, we'll do it for the competition, like, we'll push it. And they just kept saying, like, no. And then I remember we left with a not, like, solid formation. Like, we didn't know for sure what we were doing. And it wasn't until the very first practice we had when we were at nationals that they just kept most of the stuff the same. which made me feel a little better.
I remember being at practice, like the very few practices we had before nationals, with all the changes. I remember like asking Juan here and there, like, do we actually have a chance? Like, are we just going to have fun, or are we going to like do business? Like, but then we got to nationals, and like Soraya said, like we were very like iffy on like what we were doing, because we didn't have a set formation at all, and it all played well at the end, but it was very nerve-wracking because when you go to a competition, you want to feel confident. You want to feel like you want to know what you're doing, because you just have to know.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like nationals was a completely different environment than like CIF and state, because like it was at a convention center, and like there's lights on you, and it's not at some like random high school like
gym,
like a random high school gym.
It was like what, 3 big stages?
Yeah, it was
like
3 big stages.
It
A
was
huge warm. I've never seen a warm up area that big, where
and
it
like,
was
always
all
noise everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there's always like people's routines, like music and everything.
Especially warming up, since it was so
like
such
hectic.
a big
Yeah.
It was a little overwhelming because I remember in warm-ups, because it was so loud, like Juan would have to like scream at us for us to hear him, but like I know he wasn't yelling at us, but just the fact that I heard him screaming, I was like, it made me more nervous. Like it was making me freak out.
because we normally don't have to yell. Yeah.
It's kind of just like, okay, leads.
Yeah.
And I think it was so different too, because we'd never performed like day 1, day 2.
Yes.
And
We've never
especially
done
because
that.
we'd get back to the hotel so late, so we were all running on like
1 in
3
the
hours of
morning.
sleep, and then it was practice in the morning, then it was competition. Like for the second day, I remember there was like no time to nap, and I was in desperate need of a nap.
I think I got like 1 hour of like a nap,
Well,
and
'cause
like I just couldn't sleep.
Day 1 of com, we competed at 9:38 p.m.
PM, yeah.
And then we left around like 12.
Yeah, because the awards were
Yeah.
at
And
11.
they would tell you like if you made it to finals, which we did, but it was just super late.
Yeah, and then getting back to the hotel at 12:30 in the morning, and then having that practice in the morning. It was rough. And then we competing earlier on Saturday. So it's not like if we would have kept that 9 p.m. slot for competition, we would have been fine. We would have had time, but
Because I feel like it was just like nonstop work of doing something.
Yes.
Like there was barely any time to like sit down and rest, because like thing after thing, there's always something going on. So like we just like, it felt like camp all over again. Like you have like no sense of time of what's happening.
Yeah, it literally was like wake up, change, eat, go to practice, get to the hotel, change, eat, get ready, go to nationals, warm up, perform, wait like not even like more than 2 hours for awards, and then after awards it's like, okay, now we gotta go eat, and then we gotta go to the hotel, shower, sleep, repeat again the next day. Like it was like back to back something.
it was a long weekend.
It was very long.
But you know what? That day 1 performance was amazing.
That was good.
Like I honestly feel like that was probably your guys' best performance on day 1, and that energy coming off the mat. I feel like after that we were like, okay, like I think that was we have a shot here. Like we actually do have a shot. And then hearing that you guys placed top 3, I feel like that in itself was, honestly, this whole season has just been like accomplishments, you know, like, and surpassing goals. I think Juan and I went into this nationals thinking like, okay, our goal is, I think it was top 3, and then our other like personal goal was to beat the team that has been winning. Like they've been, I think they were like 7-time champs, and they didn't even make it into the finals. And so seeing that accomplishment, we were like, whoa, like this team has it. But it still felt like
We could have done better.
we could have done better. I mean, you know, but it still felt like such a huge accomplishment, at least for me. I know you guys, you know, it's hard for you guys, especially coming off of win after win after win. And you guys aren't, you're not used to losing with this team. Ultimately, like that's what it is. It's this group wasn't used to losing, and this was your first loss. But I mean, I'm sure Juan and I were on the same page of like, no, like we freaking did it this year. Like CIF San Diego champs, CIF state champs, you top 3 in the nation. You beat out a 7-time winning team. Like, there's nothing more we could have wanted for you guys, you know?
Yeah. And I also think that even though a lot of people felt like they were at fault for the things that happened, like the mistakes and the falls, I feel like we all took the third, well, not all of us, but majority of us took the third place pretty well. Yeah. And I think in the end, everybody just was kind of proud of each other. And I think that was kind of, it was a nice thing, because then you realize it's like, even though not everybody was able to do their 100, we were all still proud of each other, and we all still were having each other's backs, and I just thought it was a really cute little like family moment.
Yeah, it
was
really
nice.
was. I remember getting off that mat and being so upset because of the mistakes that were made, but in the end, like when we were at awards, I wasn't even upset that we got third. Like, I deep down felt like we definitely deserve first, but in the end, like, it caught up to us, and all the no sleep and pushing ourselves to the best that we can, like, it caught up to us. And I just felt like when they called us third, I did hear the fact that we were third, but in my head I was like, it doesn't matter, like, we literally are first, like, we got first place.
In my head, I'm a winner.
Like, yes, like our team has gone through so much, and we've all pushed each other. And even when we're coming off the mat, when everybody's crying, the support that we feel from one another, like, for example, like my stunt group, you have to know how to win together and lose together.
Yeah.
And really, that's how we ended. Like, it was an overall great experience, and I wouldn't want like any other. Like, that was the best I could ever ask for.
I also remember, like, after warm-ups, like, our stunt group, we were not that great. And I remember we were doing our little pep talk before we went on the floor, and I had just said my part, we did our prayer, and then, like, looking at everybody's face, like, everybody looked so down. And I, like, told them again, and I remember I started another one where I was telling them, like, turn your crowns upside down. Like,
I remember that.
It was, like, it actually made me really sad just looking at everyone, because it's, like, everybody already looked, I don't know if it's because we were drained or if we were tired, but the energy was just off, you know? And I try to, like, get it back up, and I feel like we really did push as hard as we could, and I was proud. And also, like, I know for my stunt group, my other bass, Nylea, she was really nervous. She was super nervous because we weren't hitting, but we have, like, our little superstition toe tap the toe tap before we hit before we start our routine. And I remember, like, after that toe tap, that first toe tap, I felt it, and I was like, Nylea, you got it. You can see us in the video, like, I tapped it, and I looked at her.
I was gonna say that's like the Easter egg in our competition video, the toe tap in the front.
In every single competition we've hit, and I partially feel like our stunt group, I partially feel like that toe tap has a major part in it.
Superstition has been real this year.
It really was.
So, okay, so let's wrap this up. So what would be our next year goals for those underclassmen, and then seniors? What do you guys wish for the team, and any advice that you have for future members?
I just hope that next year's comp team can keep the bar that high and raise it even higher, because it's just like so much work has been put in, and I'm sure that Coach Gabby and Juan, they're an amazing team, and they can push our cheerleaders to their extent, and I'm sure they'll be able to do it. But that's how I feel. I hope they raise the bar higher.
Me and Natalie were talking about it, I think yesterday, where, like, I was telling her, this is a great year to graduate for us. Like, we won state, we won CIF, and it's like, I feel bad because the underclassmen have to, like, keep that going. Next year they're expecting, like, to hopefully win, but we're done. We're
out of here.
No, but for tryouts, the only advice, like, I would say is, like, I know there's a couple nerve-wracking parts where you have to, like, talk to the coaches, or you have to, like, be in the front, and it's kind of just when you're doing your little interview, I feel like you just gotta remember, like, the coaches are humans too. Like, they're not as scary as you would think. It's just like having a normal conversation with a normal human being. And it's like, there's nothing to be panicked about. Like, you just gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I'm not a senior, but I have a VibeZ. But, like, because my freshman year, I dislocated my knee. So that cut my year short, so I couldn't really do much. And then my sophomore year, my knee, it still feel like, it wasn't stable. And I remember I told coach, like, I was on the comp team, but, like, I was like, I'm not doing the elites.
Yeah.
And then I remember, like, later on, I got put into the elites. And, like, I pushed myself to, like, overcome that fear of, like, my knee getting hurt again. And then now, like, my junior year, I'm, like, I just, like, never saw myself in this position of, like, being a flyer again. Yeah. So, like, I feel like you just have to keep pushing yourself, even though, like, you're going to be scared. But you have to push yourself to, like, get to, like, your full potential.
Did you want to talk about
next year goals?
So next year's going to be my last year. So that makes me, you know, want it even more. I mean, hopefully we get back-to-back CIF and state champs. And hopefully the nationals. I mean, that would be insane, you know, winning for my senior year. But I just think we won this year, and, like, we see what else we could win, and we just want it so bad, too. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like there's a hunger to keep it going. Like, yeah, at least for us as coaches, like, we want more. Like, we want more for you guys. And we even talked about possibility of even doing UCA nationals as well. We haven't talked to the whole team about it, but we've talked to a couple of you guys about possibly doing USA and UCA nationals. And being one of those teams, like, we saw Saugus at USA nationals, and we saw them walking around, and we're like, wait a second, you were in Florida last week at UCA nationals. Like, how are you here already again? And, like, Juan and I looked at each other like, goals. Like, that's goals. Like, we're going to get there. This team is going to get there.
I'm excited to see your guys' routine for next year, because I feel like we already went like crazy this year. Like, what can you guys do next year? Like, what are you going to do? And I'm excited. I'm really excited to see your guys' progress.
All right. Do you want to finish with our... Do we do that? Do you want to?
Yeah. Would you want to explain kind of like
the meaning behind it?
Yeah.
So this year we started a new tradition with Comp Team, where we have a hashtag for the team, which is common for like all-star teams and stuff. So our hashtag is CCAOL2S, and only those that are on Comp Team know what it stands for. And then moving forward, the new comp team, so the new members of the competition team, won't know what it stands for until that first competition. So it's either going to be regionals. Well, I think we decided CIF was going to be the first time that we have the bonding moment and, like, have them figure it out, what it means. So I think that would be a good note for us to finish on. So go hands in. Ready? Don't do that.
Wait.
This is the last time maybe with these two seniors.
No.
Ready?
You gotta let me caress your fingers.
Okay. CCAOL2S.
Can't stop, won't stop, doing it the best. Spartans!
It's so cute.
We're done.
With everything said and done, I'd like to thank the Central Union High cheer team for their time, and you, the listeners, for yours. Before we go, I'd like to bring attention to how you can possibly have your own episode. If you'd like your school to have its very own episode of Valley Vibes, inquiries should go to Imperial Valley Vibes with a Z at gmail.com. That is Imperial Valley Vibes with a Z at gmail.com. We'll be sure to elaborate on this in next week's episode. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back at Sunday, 9 a.m. next week. This is Daniel Montoya, signing off.
This program was produced and brought to you by Spartan Sound Productions. Special thanks to our hosts and guests, Daniel Montoya and Soren Dorantes, Miss Gabby Robb, coach of Spartan Cheer, and the Central Union High School Spartan Cheer Squad, Dr. Thomas Tackey, creator and director of Spartan Sound Productions, the administration of Central Union High School and the Central Union High School District, Mr. Javier Fimbres, and Power 98 for hosting us, and to you, the listeners.